growing up, I was a really, really shy teenager. I was a really extroverted child and then a really shy teenager. And when I'm around my like childhood friends and their parents, they're all honestly like, Jamelia, I cannot believe that this is the same person because I could not get you to speak when you were in your teens. And they're like, and now you're speaking in America in front of like really big crowds. For me, it's a testament to like just doing the thing that you're afraid to do and seeing something and thinking, well, if that person can do it, I can do it.
Welcome. This is the How I Crushed It podcast, the podcast that shines a light on talent in the community. I'm Tunde, and this is a special Elevate series of the How I Crushed It podcast, brought to you in partnership with the Black British Business Awards, with the 2025 ceremony usually held in October, where shining a light on some of the incredible past winners, celebrating their journeys, their successes, and the powerful impact that they've had on their communities and in their industries. This week on the podcast, we have on Jamelia Donaldson from Treasure Tress. Treasure Tress was founded in 2015 by Jamelia, and it's developed into one of Europe's largest subscription service dedicated to curly hair products. Each month, subscribers receive a selection of hair products from a variety of brands tailored to the recipient's hair needs and hair type. In the chat, we talk about why she decided to leave her high salaried job in finance and set up her own business at just the age of 24, the challenges of running a hair and beauty business in the UK, and doing a TV advert with Judi Love. This is me with Jamelia Donaldson. Jamelia, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. So, born in May 1991, born and raised in London?
Yes.
Yeah. What were your early memories of growing up in London? I mean, I'm not sure what part you grew up. Was it North?
It was North London,
Okay.
yeah. I grew up in Edmonton and then moved to Enfield in time for secondary school. And memories of growing up, lots of my childhood was just filled with family and friends. So most of my memories are just like playing out with neighbors. My cousins used to live on the road next to us, so constantly going around there. I used to do a lot of activities as a child. So I used to do ballet, I done tap, piano lessons and violin lessons. So my childhood was filled with activities, but also all of my spare time was filled with spending time with family and friends. So when I think of childhood, I just think of like community, really, like having a really strong community.
And you were pretty good at athletics as well, right?
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you know that?
I do my research. What can I say? There was one particular event that you were pretty good at. What was it?
100 meters.
Okay. What was your time?
Oh, I don't
Do you remember?
remember.
Oh, you don't remember?
No.
Okay. Because the World Athletics Championships are on at the moment, so I thought you might be.
That's my old life.
Okay.
I like watching it only when Jamaica's running.
Okay.
But otherwise I don't really engage in athletics that much. But I did really enjoy it at the time. And I still have a very active lifestyle, so I still enjoy movement.
And again, when I was doing my research, one of the things that I learned about you is the fact that you had this really kind of I don't know how to put it, like a really happy childhood, really. Like your mum really kind of laid the right foundations and environment for you to learn and be curious about the world. I mean, how did she do that?
100%. I think she was really, really intentional. So my mum's an educator, her mum was an educator, and I just remember my mum investing a lot of her own time in learning and developing herself, but everything that she done for us was really intentional. So weekends, half terms, summer holidays, it was always filled with an activity or an adventure, whether it was like a holiday to visit family members in another country or like going somewhere else in the country just for a new experience. I think my mum really taught, but also demonstrated that learning is a lifelong experience, and any opportunity to do it, you can. And learning doesn't only take place in the classroom. Like life experiences are also learning experiences. So she gave it a good go to give us the best, expose us to as many new experiences as possible so that we could then form our own interests and we could then pursue them. So yeah, she was just really, really intentional about the importance of education, the like a lifetime view of learning. So we didn't feel like, okay, once we accomplish this goal, that's it, our learning's over. She just continued to reiterate that learning is a lifelong journey and you'll never stop doing it. And she demonstrated that by constantly exposing us to new things.
That is so good, because not everybody has kind of luxury of that, having that really invigorating childhood, I guess.
Yeah, and I think the word luxury is interesting because my mum raised us as a single mum. So like financially we were not well off at all. But I think it was just the intention that she
Mm.
had behind it. Like everything was really well thought of. So one of the things that I remember is that like summer holidays, everyone would come to school with like new trainers and talk about like all the new clothes that they got. And my mum was very insistent on the fact that like I'm not buying you new trainers. I'm going to save that money and we're going to go on holiday or we're going to have an experience. And so I think that taught me to always value experiences over material goods
Mm.
because I can remember the trips that we took. I would never remember a pair of trainers that she bought me in year 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think she used what we didn't have in money. I think she made up for in intention and through experiences. But I think a lot of that came from leaning into a community. So if we were going on holiday, we weren't staying in hotels. We were staying in family. We were staying with family, or we were staying with friends of families. And because my mum is like naturally such a traveler, she does have friends all over the world. And that also taught me the importance of like not only a local community, but an international community and valuing lifelong friendships and relationships as opposed to just like short term like chunks of like, okay, these are my secondary school friends, these are my college friends, these are my university, but instead demonstrating that those relationships can follow you through your life and you can do life together with a number of different people.
I mean, community actually is something that comes up quite a lot in your journey. So we'll touch on that a bit later. But yeah, you mentioned your mum is as a teacher. Your dad was a bus driver.
Mhm.
He's now relocated back to Jamaica.
Yeah.
You've got an older brother. You've got a younger step brother as well.
My brother,
Um,
yeah.
and you had a really interesting year when you was about 9, right? You sort of you lived in a different country.
Yeah, so my mum had an opportunity. So, as I mentioned, she's a teacher, and there was this opportunity for British teachers to move to the US and teach there, in particular Atlanta. So, when we were 9, she uprooted me and my older brother, and we went to Atlanta for the year. And at first, I wasn't excited about going at all because I had my friendship group. I liked school. I loved the experience. So the thought of leaving that and, like, missing out, the FOMO almost got the best of me. But then when I got there, I was equally quite nervous because it was a completely different environment. The schools were massive in comparison to my school. The kids were so much bigger than me because I was really small for a really long time, and it was just really intimidating. And I remember my mum dropping my older brother to school on the first day, and they had metal detectors that he had to walk through, and she got back in the car and she was just crying because she
Wow.
was terrified because in comparison to UK schools, that's not the entry point. Like the entry point is just a wooden door. So it was a massive culture shock. But by the end of it, I didn't want to leave. And I always think it's really interesting how life goes full circle because I've had so many opportunities in my work life to revisit Atlanta. And I feel like I have such a deeper connection to it because I've experienced it as a child. I've got friends from that time in my life there. And I have like an authentic first-hand experience of living there for a long time. So now whenever I go back, it does kind of feel like I'm going back home,
Okay.
which is really beautiful.
Yeah. And as a kid, I think you had sort of notions of wanting to become a hairdresser. Yeah. What did your mum say to that?
Absolutely not. So I've always been obsessed with beauty and always been obsessed with hair.
Yeah.
And in school, I used to earn money doing people's hair in secondary school. In primary school, I'd just practice all the time. Even going back to nursery, I would always get in trouble because I wouldn't be listening. I'd be playing in someone's hair. So I've always loved it. And so my first thought was like, okay, if I love hair so much, I'm gonna be a hairdresser. But as mentioned, my mum comes from an educational background. So she was like, I'm not sure about you being a hairdresser. You can own a hair salon, but I'm not sure about you being a hairdresser. Which I understood. I understand her perspective looking back, but equally, now like some hairdressers are earning a lot of
Mm.
really good money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is a really valid career and it's a really respectable career. But I think at the time, the lens that she had, I think she thought that I was just thinking a little bit too small.
Okay. Okay. So that got poo-pooed at least for at that point, and
Defo.
you ended up going to university. But before that, you didn't do A levels. You did a how do you pronounce it? Baccalaureate.
Yeah, I done the
Yeah.
international baccalaureate.
How? Like, I didn't even know that was an option for people in the UK.
But again, I think that's the benefit of my mum being
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
education and where we had the exposure to education abroad and where I loved it so much. she recommended it because she was like, look, you can do A levels, but if you go abroad, they're not going to recognize the qualification. But if you do the international baccalaureate anywhere in the world, you'll be able to explore going there for college, university. Not for college, sorry, for university. So I was like, okay, cool. So I'd done the IB, not knowing what I was getting myself into because it is intense would be an understatement.
More intense than A levels, you think?
It's 7
Ooh,
subjects.
okay,
A
right,
levels is 4.
okay,
And I didn't have a social life for those 2 years. I literally was just in my books. But it was, again, a learning experience, a growth experience, and it was something that definitely helped me early on in my career to help my CV stand out amongst everyone else's because very few people do the IB.
yeah. So yeah, off you go to Aston University, and you ended up studying business and international relations.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you find it up there?
I'm good, but that wasn't the course that I wanted to
Yeah.
do. I knew that I wanted to go to Aston. Like the first time I went to the campus, I was like, this is definitely the university that I'm going to. And so when I didn't get into the course, which was meant to be law, I was like, I still want to go to this university, so I'm going to see which other options they have. And I didn't choose business because I thought I was going to be a business owner. I chose business because it had the degree paired with international relations, and that sounded like something I could travel with. And it had a requirement for professional experience. So it sounded like I could work abroad, and that was something that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I just took advantage of the fact that I was going to go to this university anyway because that's where my heart was set. And based on the options that were available and the life experiences that I wanted to have, I chose the degree based on that,
Yeah.
as opposed to choosing the degree based on like the career plan that I had, because that kind of went down the drain when I didn't get onto the course for law.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you mentioned there's like a it's not a gap year, it's like a work placement year.
A placement year,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And you ended up having at least a couple of really fantastic placements in different countries, right?
Yeah, that was actually a great time. I first went to Beijing for a month to do a PR and marketing internship, which was great, but also is an essential part of the story and the formation of Treasure Tress. Because when I was in Beijing, it's a very unique experience as a Black woman because you feel like a celebrity because people do not stop taking photos of you, approaching you.
Yeah.
But equally, in the beauty scene, you realize that you don't exist at all. Like in the UK, as a Black consumer, you can feel like you're subpar, but in China in particular, you just don't exist. And I remember one day I either ran out or lost my hair products, and I lost my hair tools, so like my hairbrush. And I went to a supermarket to try to find something that I could use, and I picked up like a really cheap conditioner, like a £1 gel, and I had to buy a shoe brush in place of my bristle brush because I couldn't find my brush and there were no other options.
Yeah.
And I think for me that was a really big eye opener of, oh wow, if I don't live in a major city in the West, namely the US, then my options for beauty are really, really limited. And then that carried me through to my next stop, which was New York, where I done an internship in fashion PR. And that, again, a theme that you'll notice is that like I do prioritize a good time. So I didn't do fashion PR because I wanted to be in fashion. I done fashion PR because I wanted to be in New York. And I felt like something was calling me to Brooklyn in New York in particular. So I went with one of my friends. She got an internship in theatre. Again, wasn't an interest of hers, but she just shared the sentiment that let's not spend the year in the UK, let's go abroad and see what happens. And so while I was there, I heard of an internship with a guy called BJ Coleman who works in entertainment PR, and he was looking for an assistant. And I was doing the fashion PR internship, but it just wasn't stimulating me enough. Like all I was really doing was running errands, and I wanted to make sure that I was leaving that year having learned something. So when I heard that he was looking for an assistant, I set up a meeting with him, done the interview, I got the job. And it was a really exciting time because his clients were like Tatiana Ali, Tyson Beckford, Vivica Fox, and he was working with Essence, and he had me doing all of these things like building pitch decks for events and reaching out for sponsorships. And that was like a completely new experience for me. And again, it's very much connected to the work that I do now. So my trip to New York was, it wasn't that, like, I didn't have much of an intention for it other than I felt like I needed to be there. But then once I was there, I was able to make connections, meet people, and make it a really, really valuable experience. But also while I was in New York, I discovered the subscription box business model. And I was just observing how like it was rising in popularity, and there were subscription boxes for everything from makeup to hair care to dog food to sweets, ties, everything. And then I looked at the market in the UK and we didn't have anything competitive. And so I remember saying to myself that if by the time I get back to the UK, there's not a subscription box for curly hair products, then I'm going to create it. And so that was my intention. But the reality was that I had done a whole year of free internships and had earned absolutely no money and had burnt through my savings. So when I got back, my first priority was to find a job that pays me really well. And a job that pays really well is obviously finance. So I applied for an internship at BlackRock Asset Management on their business operations scheme. And I got the internship. It was meant to be 1 month. They asked me to stay for 3 months instead. And then they offered me a graduate position. So I went back to Aston for a year. Then I went back into BlackRock as my first professional role.
And BlackRock, for anybody that doesn't know, is like one of the top like asset management companies around globally, right? Not even just in
Yeah,
the
it's
UK.
the largest asset manager.
So you mentioned in a different interview that you actually prepared for that interview like it was like some kind of exam.
Absolutely, because I don't have anyone in my family that works in the city. That's not the background that I come from. There wasn't anyone that I could have a conversation with around like, what does it look like to work in the city? What should I wear? How should I show up? How authentic should I be? How do I code switch? Like I couldn't have those conversations. But one thing that I did know is that I didn't know anything. So I was like, let me start at the basics. Like, what is finance? What is asset management? What is BlackRock? And then I studied like it for an exam, but when I went into the interview, I went in as like authentically me. And I think that that took me very, very far because one, there were very few Black women in the organization anyway. There definitely weren't any young Black women in the organization. And I think I was like young, excited, like bushy tailed. I had just had this amazing world experience and they were really captivated by that. So ultimately, I had like logically I had prepared for it like an exam, but when I got there, practically I just showed up as myself and they liked me and I liked them.
Yeah. So, I mean, just stepping back a couple of steps, you ended up graduating from Aston with a first.
Yeah.
So you obviously really got your head down and really crushed it at university level.
Yeah.
And then you ended up getting this job at BlackRock. So I'm guessing your career is set, right? This high paying job must have been fantastic, or not so much.
Yeah. I felt like when I got my first, I was like, okay, perfect. Like this was the goal. Like, okay, secondary school is important, but ultimately getting to university and graduating with a first, I felt like the red carpet was going to be laid out and that was going to be it. And then when I got the role at BlackRock, I was like, perfect, because everyone else had spent their placement year interning at these like really serious jobs and they hadn't secured anything. Whereas I had had like this whimsical experience in New York and I had managed to land a really serious role. So I was like, this is brilliant. Like I've had my time in New York. I'm going to come to London, start my career, climb the career ladder. And I'm someone that like, if I do something, I want to be the best at it. So it wasn't my goal to join BlackRock and stay at one level. Initially, when I joined, it was like, I'm going to join and I'm going to get to the top. And then year one went by and it was like, wow, this is a lot of learning. Like the learning curve was really steep. And again, it was that cultural thing as well of, I think there were only 3 Black interns amongst 300 interns in Europe. I was the only young Black female in Europe. And just the conversations in the office and amongst the other interns and grads made it clear that like, wow, people really come from this. Like their brothers do this, their sisters do this, their parents do this, and they have so much support and so much prior knowledge. And so the first year felt like Mount Everest for me because I was like, I don't have the context that these people do. And I was like battling, being really frustrated with myself, but also giving myself grace because I just don't come from that. Then year two, I was like, this is cool. Like I'm getting the hang of it. It was a rotation. So you're on different teams. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But I just couldn't let go of this idea that I had for Treasure Tress, the subscription box. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus on work, see how far I can go. And then by year three, I was like, I have to do something with this idea. So launched Treasure Tress as an Instagram page and then started working on the side and then eventually built the website, launched it and was working at the same time. And then that's when the friction became very real because I was like trying to excel at work And one thing that I never ever wanted to do was show up lackluster at work because I'm working on my business. Because my view is always that, okay, if I do that in someone else's company, when I have my company, I wouldn't want someone to do that in my company. So I wouldn't want to do it to them. So I was still trying to show up on 10 top form at work while also trying to build this business. But there's only 24 hours in the day. And the team that I was on was a team that demanded you to be in the office from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And so that doesn't leave very many hours in the day anyway. And I had to find time during that time to eat, rest, shower, get dressed, and work on my business and maybe have a social life. So that was a real challenge.
So it actually affected your health, didn't it? I mean, how many hours sleep were you getting during this period?
Like 3
Ooh.
hours sleep, 3 to
Okay.
4 hours sleep. That's it.
Over how many months would you say you were doing the
About
two?
8 months.
8 months, yeah.
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 And then it got to the point where I had lost a ton of weight and my skin was looking horrific. And I was like, this isn't sustainable. Something's got to give.
Yeah.
Either I like give up the idea of starting this business or I double down on corporate, but I cannot continue to do both.
Yeah.
And so at the time I was like 23, 24, and I was like, look, I don't actually really have many like serious responsibilities. I'm gonna take the risk and see what happens. It wasn't that straightforward, but I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll get into that.
But also, again, sort of listening to another interview that you did with somebody else, I think you mentioned some interesting ideas about, I think you saw some other like more senior women in this industry, and it wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily what you wanted for your own career.
No, yeah, there was like really inspiring and really powerful women in senior positions at BlackRock. But when I looked at their lifestyle as far as like their family and makeup, their family dynamic, I just felt like I don't think that's what I was created for. Like, I want to have children, I want to have a family, I want to have a successful marriage. And I saw that they compromise a lot of their personal to have those professional accomplishments. And I think it is the interesting thing about genders. I didn't necessarily see that same dynamic with the men. Like somehow they managed to have it all. But the women, it seems like they sacrificed a lot of themselves and a lot of their personal. And I just thought, I don't think that that's for me.
So I guess that gave you even more impetus to set up your own business.
Absolutely, yeah. And like set it up in an area of that is of genuine interest to me because I find it really, and this might be a good thing or might not be, but I do find it really hard to commit to things that I'm not wholeheartedly in. And so I knew that whatever I was going to start a business in, it needed to be something that was a genuine and pure passion of mine. And I do hear so many people say like, oh, you can do that for your first business and then go on to develop others, which may be true. I don't know that yet. But I know that for me, I couldn't have started a business in something that I wasn't interested in for the sake of money.
Okay. So, yeah, you mentioned Treasure Tress started in 2015.
Yeah.
I believe you started it in your bedroom.
Yes.
Yeah,
In my
and
mum's
you
house.
mentioned that you started it with an Instagram page. You were only 24 at the time, so like really young to be setting up a business. And how were the first few months? I mean, yeah, how challenging were the first few months for you, would you say?
So the first few months was when I was working full time as well. So that it was like time constraints. It was also me trying to figure out like how do I make this work? I was going into a new industry that I didn't know. So when I went into finance, I didn't know anything and I didn't know anyone. And equally, I had this innate love for beauty, but I didn't have a network. I didn't have anyone that I could like engage with, anyone to guide me, anyone to mentor me. So it did feel like the wild, wild west and starting from scratch. And so every day it was like, okay, what can I do today to help me get closer to that goal? So it looks like cold calling brands, cold emailing brands, reaching out via DMs, like just finding different and unique ways to get people's attention. And then once I had their attention, try to sell them on this idea that now seems like a very normal business, but at the time it wasn't, and it wasn't popular in the UK at all. So it did take a lot of convincing to get our first brands on board. But equally, I think getting our first brand on board was a testament to just getting started because it was through the Instagram page that we attracted our first client, which was Palmer's. And to this day, they're still one of our biggest clients. So I think that that is definitely a testament to like just putting the idea out there and just showing up every single day, regardless of what it looks like. Because there were days when I wanted to give 100, but I couldn't because I energetically just didn't have it. But there wasn't a day that went by that I didn't work frantically on that business.
And what was it? Do you think? Why did Palmer's? Um, what was it about your proposition that sort of appealed to them? Do you think back then?
I think they had seen it work stateside, but they were yet to see it work in the UK, which was great because they already kind of had a case study. But I think it was the uniqueness of the sampling opportunity because you can market in so many different ways: billboards, TV, radio, socials. But in order to get your product actually into consumer hands and to have something that has a 100% open rate is near impossible. Like emails don't have a 100% open rate, socials do not have that. But a box, no one has a box delivered to their house and doesn't open it.
Mm.
And so I think they understood the value of really niche direct marketing like that. So they could get their products not only into the hands of the consumer, but into the bathrooms of the consumer and get people to genuinely try it and experience the brand, especially because at the time they were entering hair care and they've always been known as a skin body care brand. So for them, I think they understood the value of sampling and getting your product directly into the hands and bathrooms of your target consumer.
So okay, you've launched your business. You've got Palmer's on side.
Mhm.
Can you take us back to the time where you had those first initial orders? Like what did that feel like to you? I mean, I don't know what kind of like platform are you using, if you're using like Shopify or whatever, but
Yeah,
how did that feel for you?
it was really exciting,
Mm,
but equally really scary because it's like, oh wow, I've got someone else's money.
mm,
Like I've got their money, which means I have a duty to 100% deliver. Like
yeah,
it's too late to turn back.
yeah.
And one of our first orders was actually from South Africa. And I was like, this is insane. Like the internet is a gold mine because how else could I have attracted a customer from South Africa that I've never met and it wasn't friends or family?
Mm.
And so for me, I think it gave me the motivation that I need because I took the responsibility of accepting someone's money really seriously. And I was like, okay, once they've given me their money, I have a duty of care to deliver something for them. But equally, it's a subscription. So not only do I need to deliver something this month, I need to continuously deliver things. And so I think that gave me the impetus and the motivation that I needed so that even on the days that I didn't feel like I could show up for myself, I knew that I had to show up for the customer because I had a duty of care to them.
And how did you grow the business? Because I'm guessing, like as any startup, you don't have like tons of money for marketing. So how did you sort of gain momentum and get the brand out there?
Yeah, I didn't have a clue about another consistent theme. I didn't have a clue about anything. And so I just thought, what is something that I would value and that I would see and want to be a part of? And so I was like, "Do you know what? I think events is a good route to go down because if I get people in a room, I can talk to them about the brand, but I can also give them an experience. And if I give them an experience, they'll build a deeper bond with the brand and they'll also trust me because one of the first emails that we got was like, "Hey, I've ordered the box. I'm a little bit worried that this is a scam because I've not received the box yet." Because
Mm,
people are used to buying a product on Monday, receiving it on Tuesday.
mm.
But with a subscription, you pay and then it comes in a particular time window. And so for me, eventing was a really good way to build trust, to start to establish an in real life community and to just do things differently because I knew that I couldn't compete with the beauty brands the way that they market. Like I couldn't do the bus campaigns that they were doing. At the time, we couldn't do the pop-ups that they were doing. We couldn't do anything that they were doing, but I knew that I could pull off a decent event and I could give people a good in real life experience. And so the first event that we done was an event called Mummy and Me Afternoon Tea. And it was an afternoon tea for mums and their daughters with curly hair to come and have afternoon tea and also discuss hair care. And I think once I'd done that event and I looked at the imagery and the visuals and the feedback, I was like, okay, I'm definitely onto something because the way these mums felt so passionately about the space that had been created for their daughters and the appreciation that they had for Treasure Tress as a brand that could follow their kids as they grow up and as they build their sense of identity and their sense of self. I realized, okay, I think I'm onto something. So how can I continue to do these events and continue to nurture my relationships with these people? So this was through email, it was through the box, and it was through eventing. And then it got to the point where I was like, okay, cool, this focusing on the younger demographic is good, but I am noticing that the women that are subscribing to the box want it for themselves, and or they want it for their older children. And so I approached an influencer called Simone Powderly, who was called Hera Simba at the time. And I asked her if she could be a part of something that I had an idea for, which was the teen experience. Because I thought when I grew up, like brownies and youth clubs were such a huge part of like my sense of self as a young woman, and young women today just don't have any outlets or any spaces like that. So I thought, why don't we create something called the Teen Experience, which is for Black and mixed race teen girls to help them explore identity, life, and give them life skills. And so I approached her to be a like workshop host. And she was like, "Do you know what? This is such a good idea. I want to be a part of it. Like, let's do it together." So we ran those workshops for pretty much up until COVID. So started in like 2018, and then once COVID broke out, we paused it. And that again was a huge driver for that. It was a great marketing tool, but that wasn't why we created it.
Mm.
Again, we created it for community, but for me, the best way to like supercharge marketing in an organic way is by leaning into community and creating community experiences, which we've continued to do time and time again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I told you, community comes up time and time
Yes.
again. It's a popular theme in your story. I mean, you mentioned COVID as well just there. I mean, obviously, lots of companies have navigated it in different ways. Some have fallen by the wayside, but you've been able to kind of get much stronger, I guess, come through it and get much stronger. So how
Yeah,
did you get through that period?
the grace of God. Because I didn't understand the seriousness of it. I remember being in the office with my team, our first ever office, and it was a team of like 4 at the time, and we were sitting on the sofa having our team meeting, and I was like, "Yeah, there's this thing that's broken out in China. Um, I think maybe we should work from home for like 2 weeks and then we'll be back." And everyone was like, "Okay, cool." I was like, "Great." So we were like, "Okay, so we'll just log on 9 a.m. We'll have a stand-up meeting virtually, and then we'll crack on with our day, and then we'll continue." Then 2 weeks came, then 2 months came, then 4 months came, 6 months came, and I was like, "Okay, cool, this is not going away." And then we started to see supply chain issues because shipping hair products was no longer a priority.
Mm.
First, it was shipping hair products wasn't a priority, no one was doing it. And then it was manufacturing hair care products wasn't a priority. And all of the brands that were manufacturing hair care had paused manufacturing hair care to start producing sanitary hand sanitizer instead.
Sanitizers, yeah, yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. And then you also have like the catastrophe of the health crisis that it was,
Mm.
and the panic of the team, because they're like, first of all, like, what's going to happen with the business? Second of all, everyone's really concerned about their personal well-being and their families. And the practicality of it was that we couldn't stop shipping boxes. Like, people were still expecting their boxes, but now they were even more reliant on these boxes because the shops weren't open.
Yeah, sure.
So it was a catch-22, because it was like, we have this amazing opportunity where everyone's talking about us because they understand the value of getting your hair products delivered to your door. But equally, we're trying to source products and no one's shipping, or shipments are delayed, or people are producing hand sanitizer and we can't deliver a box of hand sanitizer to these people. So it was literally just firefighting every single day, and every curveball that could have been thrown was definitely thrown.
Mm. I can't imagine how tough it must have been for you. But as you said, in some ways, I guess it strengthened the business because, as you say, people were desperate for hair products and they couldn't actually go to the store. So the only
Exactly.
way they could get it was maybe through your channel.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So did
Yeah.
you see an uptick in like performance and results, or you
Absolutely.
did?
Like,
Yeah.
COVID was an amazing period because we had everyone's undivided attention. So everything was just landing 10 times stronger. So any digital ads were landing better. Our organic content was much stronger. Even email open rates were through the roof because people were so locked in. So we had a really unique opportunity to like sell the origins of the brand, sell who we are as a company and what we stand for, and just draw our community and our audience that much closer in. And again, I think there was a huge sense of just gratitude for the fact that we existed, because I think that was the first time that it was demonstrated that if you don't have naturally straight hair, you're not a key, you're not a priority.
Mm.
So women with straight hair could continue to go to the supermarkets and get whatever they needed, but women who had been used to going to black hair shops, they weren't open. And so it literally was this really awkward moment of, what do you do if you need to wash your hair, or you've run out of leave-in conditioner? Where do you go? And so we were actually able to do some really interesting research during that time. We done a report with Level Up, which is an initiative. I think they are a registered charity that focuses on Black women, and they explore like health issues and lots of domestic issues. And we done a report for them to explore how women's habits had changed during lockdown as a result of the shops being closed and the reliance on relaxers, and how people's attitudes had changed. And that was really, really interesting. But one of the like key pivotal moments for us as a brand was the release of our white paper, which is called The Untapped Opportunity in the UK Afro Hair Market. And us releasing that during lockdown was one of the best things we've ever done as a brand and as a company, for the B2B side of our business, because it was an opportunity for us to showcase how niche the information that we have is, how tapped into culture and community we are. But equally, we were able to translate the commercial value of the Black British consumer and compare it to the African American consumer, so that brands in the UK and the US could understand that they need to prioritize Black British consumers as well. So lockdown was, it was a unique time, but we definitely went into overdrive for all of the right reasons, because I knew that if we didn't, we weren't going to survive.
Yeah, yeah. This podcast has been brought to you in collaboration with the Black British Business Awards. And Jamelia won the Rising Star Award in the entrepreneur category back in 2019. So we've got a few quick fire questions for her in relating to the awards. So Jamelia, what inspired you to put yourself forward for the awards in the first place?
That's a great question. I feel like I was sent it from or by a few different people. And I think I wanted to like ignore the first one, because I was like, I don't want to put myself forward for it, because it felt a little bit premature for me, because I felt like I wasn't where I wanted to be in business. But equally, I've learned that you don't ever feel like you're where you want to be. So you just have to make the most of the moment. And so once a few people had sent it to me, I thought, "Do you know what? If these people feel like I would have a good run in to actually win it, let me just do it." So I done the application, and I remember it being quite a thorough application process. I remember there being like a judging panel and everything, but it was, I'm glad that I done it, and I don't want to ruin the rest of your questions.
Oh no, no, not at all. I mean, my next question was going to be why do you think the awards are important for Black professionals and founders as well?
Yeah, I think the awards are important for Black professionals and founders because it allows you an opportunity to pause and reflect. And it's not very often that you get a chance to actually do that, because you've got these massive goals that you're working towards, you've got a team that you're sustaining, you've got clients that you're appeasing, you've got customers that you're serving. And there are very few moments where you can actually pause, reflect, and think, oh, wow, I've actually done quite good. Like, I've actually done quite a bit. And awards for me are always that opportunity for reflection, and to like really take a minute and just sit in gratitude of, wow, like a lot has been done. Yes, there's a lot to be done, but equally we've come a long way. And I think it is a really strong morale boost, like whether you make it as a winner or not. The fact that people have considered you to even share the link with you and put you forward for it, the fact that you've had to like sit in front of a judging panel and expand your network that way, I think is also really important. And that is one of my favorite things about awards, is that it's a great morale booster and like gives you some motivation to continue what you're doing, and is a reminder that you're on the right path. But equally, it's a really good way to open your network and expand your network, introduce you to new people, and get your name on people's radar who probably wouldn't have heard of you before.
Yeah, yeah. And this is not the only award. Well, it wasn't the only award that you've won. You've won quite a few over your career. What impact do you think winning this particular award had on your career or your business?
Mm. I think winning this award in particular, I think it was the first time that I felt seen outside of my customer base. Like the Treasure Tress community, I feel seen by them because at the time, like many of them knew who I was as the founder of the business, but I didn't think that anyone outside of them or the beauty industry knew, cared, or took seriously the work that we done. Because I know that for some people, beauty sounds like such a throwaway business, and I think it's really underestimated, and I think its impact is undervalued a lot of the time. So for me as a beauty entrepreneur to win that award, I think it was a really good reminder for me of the significance of the work that we do. It was a good, I think it just gave me motivation to like continue what we're doing and to take myself more seriously as a business owner and not pigeonhole myself as just as a beauty business owner, because entrepreneurship is entrepreneurship and business is business. It's just the product or the service that's different. And I think it helped me take myself a lot more seriously because I felt seen and respected by people that sit outside of that. But equally, it was a really nice moment, and that award in particular has a lot of significance because of the people who I was in the category with. So I was in the category with Jen and Jay of Hustle and Heels, and I was also in the category with Sam of Uncle John's Bakery. And sadly, Sam passed away during lockdown. And one of my core memories was like celebrating with him, like us messaging each other, and a relationship that was built off the back of us being in the same category was him introducing me to people in Haringey, because we were both in Tottenham. And he would introduce me to people, he would like send me encouraging messages, and I'm like, oh wow, if it wasn't for that award, I wouldn't have had that business relationship.
Sure.
So it's a really significant award for me, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sorry to hear about your loss.
Oh, thank you.
And if you at home, if you want to find out more about the Black British Business Awards, you can do so by visiting the website, which is the BBBAwards.com. So go there, and if you want to nominate somebody for next year, that's where you need to go. It's interesting you mentioned that, these white papers and reports. So it sounds like you've kind of branched out the business into different areas, which is great. I mean, we've actually had on Lydia Amoa.
Oh, yes.
The Black Pound Report. And I was wondering, were you able to lean into some of her research, or was that not enough? Because you've obviously had to do some of your own research yourself. So
yeah, it was definitely a really strong foundation. And Lydia was really generous with her time and her team. So we had a few calls when I was building my report. I think I knew that I wanted mine to distinctly compare African Americans and Black British, because I knew that from a sales standpoint, those were the insights that we needed.
Yeah.
And I knew that we needed to double down in detail on hair care, because that is what we do best.
Yeah.
So there are I think the Black Pound Report is incredibly powerful, looking at the Black economy as a whole. But the reports and the white papers that we have produced and continue to produce really hone in on beauty and health and wellness. And I think that that's really what probably differentiates the two.
I mean, personally, I think it's great that, you've been able to make this a success, because as we know in the UK, it's quite a different setup to how it is in the US. In many ways, you've been able to kind of circumnavigate that, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the exciting thing about e-commerce, because brick and mortar is what has been relied on for such a long time, but the internet is somewhat an equal playing field, and social media marketing is a game changer, and it's something that's new, it's something that's current. And I think especially in the UK, where Black British culture is having such a strong reemergence, it is really key to be tuned into that. And if you don't belong to that, it's really difficult to do that.
Yeah.
So for us, we've just continued to innovate and try to navigate it as best we can, and stay true to who we are, who our community is. But that's not to say that we haven't come across challenges. It's not to say we haven't come across challenges.
Okay. So, I mean, you've got the business to a certain level. I won't mention any numbers in terms of revenue, but you've got it to a certain level.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, are you happy with at the level that the business is running in terms of activity, revenue numbers, and so forth? Because I know you've tried to maybe get some external investment in the past, and you've been met with a bit of resistance. They haven't really seen the potential in what you're trying to do, or they don't get it. And do you think that's held back the business in some way?
I would say yes and no. Am I satisfied? I mean, no, because I'm never satisfied. I always want to do bigger and better.
Yeah.
Am I proud of what we've accomplished? Absolutely, because we've literally like been the first to do so many things and have completely disrupted the industry in so many different ways. So I'm really proud of that. But I think given the impact that we have had and how big the vision is, there still is a really long way to go. But your question, the second part of your question was about, what was it about?
Like investors, like you've
Investors,
been
yeah.
met with some resistance and they didn't
Yeah.
really get the idea or the concept.
No.
Yeah.
So that was really early on. So
Mm.
when I first started Treasure Tress, this is like we had our first maybe like 100 subscribers. And I was interested in accelerator programs because I was like, okay, I know that I haven't done this entrepreneurship thing before. Again, I don't have the network, I don't have the experience, so I need to be around people that do. And so I went to an open day for an accelerator program and was speaking to a few investors there. And the general consensus was like, this seems okay, but you need to expand it because you need to make it also available for those with straight hair. And for me, I was like, that's not what I'm building.
Mm.
And like people with straight hair having trouble finding products is not a thing. Like you can literally go anywhere.
Mm.
So that's not what I'm building. And it felt like I had to choose between, do I pivot the business completely and take their advice? Do I spend all of my energy trying to convince them that actually no, like the idea that I have is actually valid? Or do I just press forward and prove them wrong? And I just felt like my energy was best used proving them wrong. So I actually haven't revisited VC conversations since that point.
Mm.
I've been approached by investors and I've had a few conversations with angels, but I haven't taken anyone up on the offer yet. But has it held us back? I would say yes and no. I would say no because what's that saying about like creativity being like necessity being the something of creativity? I forget what it was, but
Yeah.
essentially, like when you don't have resources, you find really creative ways to
Sure.
do things and
Yeah.
you really innovate.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that we've done that has been truly innovative. Like we've done incredible things on such a shoestring budget. And I feel like if I had funding, I don't think I would have pushed myself or my team as far creatively as I have.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for that. But equally, would it be great to have some extra money to just supercharge the things that work? Absolutely. So I would say yes and no, but I think that timing is really, really key.
Yeah.
And so I think when the business is ready and when the right relationships present themselves, that will be the right time for us to start supercharging the things that we know really work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know you've been asked many, many times, you know, why you haven't launched your own brand, and I won't ask you that question.
Thank you.
But I was just wondering, like, what is the next step for you? You
Yeah.
know, because you're already shipping your products to well over 40 different countries.
Yeah.
You're working with like 250 different brands. Like, how do you get to that next level? Because as you said in your own words, you're never satisfied. So yeah,
Yeah.
what's next for you?
What's next for us is amplifying what we know works, which is we know that our pop-up shops are really, really powerful. And we know that brick and mortar, as much as people have said that it's dead, I don't believe that it's entirely dead. And so there is massive opportunity for us to explore what real estate actually looks like and how we innovate so that it doesn't feel like another black hair shop. Like, what can we do differently to build that out? And then equally, what can we do to build that out on a global scale? Because we do ship to so many markets. UK remains our biggest market, but there's so much opportunity in the Middle East, in Africa, in Americas. And so exploring those are definitely attractive. And there's something else that I wanted to add to that, but what was the rest of your question?
What's the next? How do you get to the next level in terms of the
Oh,
business? Because you're already global, right? So
yeah.
yeah, how are you going to get there?
I think his presence, like a good example of this is Gymshark. Like they absolutely nailed UK. They'd done brick and mortar really well, and then they were able to just rinse and repeat abroad. And so that would be the motivation for us to do the same. And then on like a shorter deadline in December, we're actually celebrating 10 years of Treasure Tress, which is a really exciting time for us.
Congrats.
And thank you. And we've got an activation called Curly Christmas, which is the 5th to the 7th of December in East London. So definitely come down.
Okay.
But with that, we are experimenting with a few different things, which I won't share. Come and experience it. Experimenting with a few different things to see how we can roll those out and continue them for the next chapter, the next decade, the next journey that Treasure Tress takes us on.
Okay. Are some of these events for the fellas? Because I know you're. I guess you're more aimed towards females, and that's absolutely fine. But you have also recently started doing some events for guys. There was one, was it last year or a couple of years ago, which was for dads?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was
So
really successful, wasn't it?
it was.
Yeah.
So we started that. I don't know if we'd done it. I can't remember us doing it previously, but we definitely done one for Father's Day of this year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we thought, okay, cool. This is cute. A nice Father's Day celebration. That was going to be it. But the response to it was really strong. So then I think we've done 3 so far, and we're developing a course for dads so that they can come and learn. And by the end of the course, they're like professionals on how to do hair. But that has been like such a refreshing experience and a reminder that the brand is actually significant and holds relevance for the whole family. Like children love the boxes because it's like a discovery element. Mums and women love it for self-care, pampering, and convenience. But equally, the dads are also curious about how they can become more integrated into their children's lives. For dads, taking care of their children's hair is a really good way to build a deeper bond with them. And so it's been lovely to see them want to be a part of the experience, but also be so committed to it. We've had dads who have come to several, and you've actually seen the progression of it. And dads who haven't been able to make it on social media, the responses have been crazy of people who've been like, when's the next one? I need to be there. And even some dads saying, I'm not a dad yet, but I want to know, I want to possess these skills so that when I am a dad, I can be a part of it as well. So all really exciting stuff. Yeah.
And you mentioned that. I mean, there's been another sort of campaign recently. You've collaborated with the UK Black British show, and the guy that runs it called Raphael. Is it Raphael?
Yeah, the UK Black Business Show.
Yeah,
with Raphael.
and
Yeah.
I think they were celebrating International Women's Month.
Yes.
And you had this fantastic campaign where you gave a really nicely presented box to 100 Black women who've done a lot in their careers.
Yeah.
And that went viral, right? I mean, that was
Yeah.
a fantastic campaign.
That was a beautiful campaign.
Whose idea was that your idea?
I would love to take credit for it, but I feel like it was Raf because we talk a lot.
Okay.
And we always say like we need to figure out a way to do something. We need to figure out a way to do something. And then we knew International Women's Day was to come in, and he was like, we should do something. And then between us as a team, we were like, do you know what we should do? And then we landed on the idea. We landed on the creative, and it had again a much bigger impact than I thought it would. But I think for so many women, it hit home and it ran deep because one, they were able to see themselves amongst so many other Black women that they really respected. But two, I think as Black women, there's a really unique understanding of the significance of Black hair. And so for that moment to be tied to something that is so significant and so relevant and such a huge part of our identity, I think it really resonated with them on a few different levels and became a really, really powerful campaign.
Yeah. I have to say I was quite jealous. Like, it was just, as I say, it was viral. I don't know how long ago it was, but I just kept seeing these pictures on LinkedIn primarily.
LinkedIn, it went off.
Oh yeah, and I was like, I want one of those boxes.
I mean, we might have to experiment with it for
the guys.
men. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Now, also, back in 2023 or 2024, you did a national TV campaign.
Yeah.
And one of our previous guests, Mark Delgetti from Delgetti Teas,
yeah,
also did a similar TV campaign because it was affiliated with Channel 4.
It was.
And
yeah.
you won. You were one of the winners of the competition.
Yes, it was Channel 4 and Lloyds Bank, and yeah, we all won. I think it was 100K in TV advertising, which was a massive win and such a monumental moment because I think, especially, I always used to hear my mum say that when she was growing up, whenever Black people were on TV, you would like, everyone would be ringing everyone and be like, look, tune in, there's Black people on TV. So for Black businesses to actually have that opportunity to be on TV and highlight their services, whether like their target consumer is Black consumers or just consumers in general, it was a really significant moment. And it was lovely to be able to share it with all of the other brands as well, like Turmeric Co., the Gym Kitchen, Dalgetty Teas, and ourselves, and Lockie, the shoe brand as well. So yeah, it was lovely to also have that community of founders who were also going on this journey of taking their marketing to a new level by being on nationwide TV.
No, it's fantastic. I mean, you're front and center in the advert, and you did it with Judi Love,
Yes, Judi
who
Love was
also
the
did
talent.
Mark Delgetti's. Did she do all of the?
She had a long day. She had a long few
Okay.
days. Yeah, she done all of them back
She
to
did
back.
all of them. Okay, I
Mhm.
didn't know that. I mean, we might be able to maybe include a link to the advert,
That would be
just so that people
great.
could see it, because it's done really, really well. And as I say, you're front and center of it. It looks really, really good. Did you see any uptick in results, performance off the back of that,
Absolutely.
or
Yeah.
you did?
Yeah. On
Yeah.
the day that the ad went live, our web traffic went up 300%, which
Mm.
was insane. I don't know how we would have done that using any other marketing platform. It was also really significant because when I launched Treasure Tress, one of my key motivations was my niece being born, because around the time that I was starting it, my brother told me that him and his partner were expecting a baby. And when I found out it was a girl, my first thought was like, oh my God, I hope she doesn't grow up and dislike her hair in the same way that I didn't. And so I really wanted to build a brand that would resonate with her and would encourage her to embrace her hair and also embrace her version of beauty as a young Black girl. And so when it became time to cast for the ad, I actually chose that niece to be a part of it. So it's actually her that's sitting with Judi Love and opening the Treasure Tress box, and then it like fast forwards to me and a few other people. So it was really significant for that reason. And we've got our second ad in the works. Yesterday we finished editing it. So we're going to have our second ad that goes live on Channel 4 before the end of this year, which is really, really exciting.
And that's self-funded.
Self-funded, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Fantastic. Look forward to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this is fantastic. As I say, it's really good to see somebody who's trying to kind of like navigate the industry. We've already talked about how difficult it is for people that are kind of not inside, not inside the network, if you like, and you're doing it with aplomb. And you know, I think, you know, you're not only this really successful businesswoman, but you've become this spokesperson. It seems like you're doing all of these kind of like keynote speeches, not only with the UK Black Business Show, but with other organizations.
Yeah.
And I think, as you've said many times, this whole community aspect as well, it's almost been your unique selling point,
Mm.
because I guess that you're successful because a lot of the brands have tried to copycat the boxes that you've kind of developed yourself. And I was just wondering how you feel about that. You know, number one, the fact that you're almost like this spokesperson or thought leader, but also number two, trying to respond to all the brands coming up with copycat, you know, products as well.
Yeah. I think for the spokesperson piece, thank you for that, by the way. I think for me, I think visibility and representation is so important. And it sounds really, really cliche, but I know that for me, if I see someone that looks like me with something, my brain chemistry changes and I think, okay, she's done it so I can do it, or he's done it so I can do it. So I don't take it lightly that like the things that we do and the things that we've been able to do for the first time, or the things that we've been able to disrupt, I don't take it lightly the impact that it has on like other women who want to start business or are in business, or equally men in business or men who aspire to be in business. So I don't take that lightly, and it is a huge honor. And it's also like a massive personal development journey that it's taken me on, because all of my growing up, I was a really, really shy teenager. I was a really extroverted child and then a really shy teenager. And when I'm around my like childhood friends and their parents, they're all honestly like, Jamelia, I cannot believe that this is the same person, because I could not get you to speak when you were in your teens. And they're like, and now you're speaking in America in front of like really big crowds. And for me, it's a testament to like just doing the thing that you're afraid to do and seeing something and thinking, well, if that person can do it, I can do it. Because like everyone hasn't got the same set of cards in life, but there are certain things that you can take advantage of. So whenever I see someone that's doing something that seems really bold and really courageous, I try to mimic it to figure out like, can I develop that skill as well? Can I exercise the muscle that builds my courage so that I can continue to try new things? And at the beginning of this year, I did say that I was going to take a break from doing panel talks, because at one point doing panel talks was like gut wrenching for me. I hated it. I was so terrified to do it. Then it became supernatural to the point where I didn't feel like I needed to prepare for them. And I didn't like that because it felt like I was getting too comfortable. And so I said that this year I want to do keynotes. I want to do keynotes only. And then Raphael said like, oh, I'm going to Atlanta. I had spoke in Atlanta the year before in a panel, and he was like, I'm going back this year to Traffic Sales and Profit, and I've put you forward for a keynote. And I was like, oh, great, thank you. And at the time, I was thinking like, oh my gosh, why did I open my mouth and tell him that I want to do more keynotes? But ultimately, it forced me into like some serious training where I was like, I cannot go to America and stand on the same stage as those American speakers and not do myself justice. And I had a complete meltdown the night before, but the minute I got on stage, I was like, it's game time.
Yeah.
And the feedback from that talk has been insane. Like the Americans that are on the TSP program, they've gathered together and done watch parties to re-watch my talk so that they can note take it, share notes, and develop it. And as soon as I got off stage, everyone was like, you were incredible. How can I buy your course? Like, I want to buy whatever you're selling. And I was like, wow, that's my first international keynote. I think that may have been, no, that wasn't my first keynote. That was my first international keynote. I was terrified about doing it, but equally I done it, but I done it to a standard that I made myself really proud, and I challenged myself, and I inspired other people in the audience to think about their businesses differently. And so for me, it was like, okay, cool. That's one challenge. I haven't conquered it entirely because the level of nervousness that I had the night before was serious.
Yeah.
So once I get over that, I'm then going to be looking at, okay, what's the next thing that I can do to push myself to the next level so that I don't become comfortable refining that skill in particular.
Yeah. Great. I mean, you've got another one in a couple of weeks, right? Or in a few weeks?
I've got a keynote in a few hours.
In a few hours?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
For
Okay.
Forbes family group.
Oh, okay.
And then they've invited me back again next year to do a keynote. So I need to figure out a way to outdo what I've done this year, which is going to be quite hard.
Well, we'll see if we can include a link, not only to the one you did earlier in the
Yeah.
year, but also to the one, maybe people want to come and see you. We can include a link to that in the show notes.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Great. Well, Jamelia, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. This has been great.
Big thanks for Jamelia for coming into the studio. I'm fairly certain that we're going to hear far more about Jamelia over the next coming years. Not only did she win the Rising Star Award back in 2019, but she's also won a ton of other awards, as we alluded to in the interview. She's won the 2024 BTA Awards. She was a winner there. Adweek Future is Female. She was a winner there back in 2021. The GWUP 30 Under 30, she was an award winner there in 2020, and Ad Age Women to Watch back in 2019, just to name a few. So I'm really excited to see how the business goes from here on in. Today, Treasure Tress works with over 250 brands and ships its subscription boxes to 42 different countries globally. As always, if you want to get in contact with us on the show, you can do so by emailing us, howicrushedit@gmail.com, or send your messages to us on social media. Once again, a big thanks to the Black British Business Awards, who are partnering with us on this series. The ceremony always comes along in October. So if you want to go along to the next one, which is next year, you can do so by visiting the website, and we'll include a link to that in the show notes. And that's about it for this week. So have a good week, and we'll catch you on the next show.